Yes, friends, everything is going according to plan. What exactly do I mean by that? And I don't want to say again, yes, I was right, but just take a look at the XRP chart. Yesterday, I almost hit the low point exactly on target, and I'll also say this much, it could even go a bit lower. But what is exactly relevant now, what has happened in the last 24 hours, you'll find out in this video, plus, of course, in the trading setup. We'll see each other after the intro. Now, new UP Trend VIP trading. Your opportunity to copy the signals of two profit traders for free. They managed to grow an account from $4,000 to $30,000 within 2 months. The results in the group are also impressive. All you need for this is a deposit of $100 into your BingX account. You can find all further information below in the description. Let's start briefly with the heat map. Looks a bit mixed, and that's how it is. So not much up, not much down. Well, the main trend should now be negative. However, we probably all agree. 3, 4, 5% down on an altcoin is basically nothing. Regarding the topic of PI, I should perhaps take a more serious look at it, but since the project is also relatively new, one can assume that there is more volatility here. And here we start right away with a little highlight. Take a look at yesterday. Finally, once again, triple-digit million amounts flowing into the spot ETFs. Yes, it should be noted that over the last 5 weeks, we had record outflows. We're talking about $6.4 billion US. And that is, for the most part, due to the spot ETFs. You can clearly see here what has flowed out. Now, however, we are curious and we are slowly getting into this topic of planning because there seems to be a counter movement here again. Let's see if it continues like this, especially since it's quite interesting now because tomorrow we have the day of days. With the interest rate decision, well, that's probably all priced in already, but still, normally institutions are always relatively cautious because there could still be some kind of surprise. It's curious that buying is already happening now, and now the forecasts are going wild. I shared something on X this morning. If you're not following me there yet, feel free to do so. Check the description, there's the link, or search for uptrend_info, then you won't miss any top current news. In any case, in this instance, it's crypto. Quant CEO Key Young, who in turn says the thing is now through. I personally disagree because at its core, his statement is, well, we have little fresh liquidity coming in, or it's completely dried up. And thus new whales are selling Bitcoin at lower prices. Well, in that case, no one should be buying with a fear and greed index or buying when it's very low. Why? Because there's fear in the market. Fear in the market leads to selling. So yes, as I said, I still stick to the theory of the market makers, but maybe he's right too. We will see in the future. Feel free to share your opinion in the comments. What I would like to thank you for first are the clicks on yesterday's video. Almost 3,600 views again. 224 likes. Can we reach the 300 mark today? Really strong. And by the way, a question for you. Yesterday was a bit more trading focused. Are you more interested in that, or how should I mix it? With the news? Feel free to write about it in the comments. In any case, all in all, if you appreciate my hours of research, my work, please support this channel accordingly. If you want to, then it can be done completely without any time, effort, and easily. Simply by doing one thing now. Leave a free like. Thank you very much in advance. And if you are new to the channel now, and you ask, yes, Daniel, what do you actually do? This is about crypto news. Honestly, fact-based, transparent, without hype, neutral, and also a trading setup on top. So if you're interested, feel free to leave a free subscription and activate the bell. And then you won't miss any news. And now we'll continue right away. However, there are also other forecasts, such as this one, Bitcoin price at $126,000 by June. That sounds a bit more bullish, and I want to show a graphic here, especially this one. I find it quite exciting, as I've already mentioned in several videos. In the last bull run alone, when everyone thought it was over, and we had lost everything, we had a correction of 55%. Currently, at the lowest point, when the 78K was tested again, we were at 32%. So, there's still a bit of room to move up. You can see it here. No, sorry, that was probably the lowest value, 28%. Well, I wasn't far off. In any case, what we can note here purely from the chart metrics, we have a vector candle here, and it was exactly formed here. I can say it by heart, 5th. November, that was the election of Donald Trump. Well, and now we had this vector candle here, and it has been touched 0 times and picked up 0 times so far. Everywhere else you see there were pullbacks, retests, and then it continued. Well, and now we just have the case that it is being slightly tested. I will show it again in the chart. As I said, tendentially it could even go one level lower. Theoretically, we could even go down to 70K again. But then I really believe that would be it. Or maybe it continues directly now, but in any case, this is just my personal opinion, not financial advice. I don't believe the bull run is over. Feel free to share your opinion with me as well. Because just this week, there are so many events happening, so we have the whole team here in an overarching sense. Ukraine, Russia. Right now, Trump and Putin are leading the respective peace talks. A ceasefire has been agreed upon, etc. This would absolutely boost the traditional markets, meaning an end to the war. Why is that good for Bitcoin? You will have already seen my other videos. It's all connected. So, next we have the interest rate decision tomorrow. I think the interest rate decision is completely peripheral. So the thing is basically already decided. I showed it in the video yesterday. If you haven't seen it yet, feel free to click in here. 99%. Yeah, assume that nothing will happen here. So it remains unchanged. Now, of course, an interest rate hike would be negative, okay? But a rate cut is relatively unlikely. Well, and then we also have the NVIDIA event. And by the way, the CEO's speeches today. Now it gets interesting again. How will the traditional markets react? So volatility is definitely expected to come in again this week. And now wait and see if there might be a bit more movement in the direction of these trade tariffs. So maybe the Fed will give in a little during the press conference tomorrow and talk about it. And yes, maybe Paul will talk a bit about it, like, well, you can imagine maybe lowering rates sooner or something like that. Pure speculation now, but that alone would trigger a push tomorrow. Because the reason everything is bleeding out right now is this fear of what Trump might do next with the tariffs. But just imagine, once the whole issue is off the table again, then things will look quite different. And we should also acknowledge at this point that yes, a correction is also part of a bull run. Also, Bitcoin also makes a pullback to then gather momentum and surge upwards again. So everything else we've seen in the past few weeks through various postings was just that. Pure pump and pump. It's nothing sustainable. So please don't assume that Bitcoin will suddenly shoot straight from 83K eyes to 130K. Even if that were the case this day, well, good morning. Then all chart metrics would be out the window. And in the end, we would see such a massive correction. You wouldn't want to experience that. So that's also completely illogical. Therefore, as I said, just wait and see. Now, taking a quick look at the NASDAQ, it doesn't look too bad at all. So, first there was the breakthrough from this downtrend. And now we can also say that yesterday there was a bit more volume added. This critical zone is increasingly being left behind, upwards. So yes, that's already quite a positive sign. Now let's see if this uptrend can continue in the long term. And thus, directly onto the trading setup. By the way, if you're looking for a cool exchange, in this account that I manage for someone else but show you completely transparently, I use BingX. I find it pretty cool because I got a special deal for you there. If you want to trade without KYC, that's possible. However, only with my link, so feel free to check the description. And if you deposit, you can also secure a bonus, GC $100. If you deposit, you get a $25 bonus in your trading, i.e. futures account. And if you deposit $500, then it's even $80. Now let's continue here. So the positions are still open and logically are currently still in the negative. One must say purely from a trading perspective, this is now, of course, the counterpart for hodlers, except if you are currently also in the negative. There is currently no drastic movement with Bitcoin, and also with Cardano, it just went down. And now it's crawling a bit plus minus. 2-3K around this whole plateau. That's just a bit boring, yes. For safety's sake, I've learned from it. I opened an order here. So a limit order further down in case something unforeseen should happen again. But as I said, I remain bullish, which is why these long positions are still open. Let's take a quick look at the 3-day view of Bitcoin. Well, so there's quite a bit of movement here. We have an area up here where you could grab quite a bit. But up here still means in the end just like this, 85,500. So you notice this real zone where you would say, wow, amazing, now it's taking off. Now it's bullish, that won't be left either. And now, one could certainly assume that this zone here will be targeted again, because as we can observe here, there is liquidity here and also down here. Right now the trend is already moving a bit further down. So I can certainly imagine, I'm not so sure about this zone, but at least this area will be tested again. And then possibly, because many will likely go short with leverage, thinking, yes, that's it again, now it continues down, that this liquidity up here could indeed be fished. So even if we now look at the 2, if we look at the 2-week view, one can already say that it looks quite a bit better now. This zone up here with the 85.5 could indeed be attractive. But, as I said, none of us know what will happen now, what news will come tomorrow, what suddenly exciting announcements will come. So just wait and see. But as I said, so tendentially, I would say that we are heading back up here in the medium term. Now another quick look at the 2-week view. That already looks quite bullish. So only this area can be seen here. But as I said, you have to keep an eye on all the days. My opinion is just we are heading down here again, but could indeed target this zone here first. And then new liquidity zones will naturally form again. And here, shown very simply again, you see it, we basically have a trend channel here. You can't call it anything else. This down here, that's quite clear. The critical zone, we'll extend it a bit further now. We definitely don't want to enter it, but in between we certainly have zone areas, yeah, that are repeatedly tested or not. Now here, this would be the next critical area. If no support comes here, then we could slip down here again and possibly into this area, or the other way around, because everyone always says you're so bearish. No, I'm not, because we also have the next support area here. If that is exceeded, then we could catch the zone, and then we might enter the next area here. So around 86 to 400, yes, 86 to 500, something in that range. It could become interesting there next. But what I want to convey to you is, you notice there are still many support zones that need to be passed through before we can effectively slip back into a bullish trend. But as I said, any news, no matter in which direction, can change quite a lot here. Also from the RSI, it doesn't look dangerous now. Yes, of course, it could go up or down now. So yes, we'll just wait and see. The news will show us. And that's what I mean, for example, by saying it's going according to plan. It seems to me like a market correction that's happening right now. And it's washing out the people, or rather the retail investors, not the institutions, from the market. I mentioned this zone in the video yesterday and said short or medium term, it will be reached. I'm curious, feel free to write in the comments if you also listened to that. In any case, it even went a bit further down, and then, well, it was reached again quite clearly. But if you had set a limit order to go long in that area, for example, then you could have already taken some good profits there. And there you can also see how this whole market works. It is exactly this main volume area that is reached. And then it just continues on. But before the anticipation for XRP gets too high down here, is another volume area that could be quite appealing. After that, it gets relatively thin, but, well, I'll just say it openly. I have, for example, placed a limit order here. And look, maybe it will still be picked up. Maybe we will continue to rise upwards. That also depends a bit on Bitcoin now. But as I said, we are not out of the woods yet. But just to be clear, even if you have placed a limit order up here, never use your full capital. And it continues. Down, well, then you can also do DCA and just buy again here, for example. So this is not the worst value you have bought here. And as I said, I can now hardly imagine that we will go down into much, much deeper zones again. Unless, of course, the news is extremely bearish. Let's take a look at what my predestined low value for XRP would be. Let's continue with the chart. And yes, so we can note that we still have this downtrend in place, although this could already be a bit of a trend reversal. So it's almost moving sideways again, so we can't typically say, yes, okay, it's going further down here. I would definitely keep an eye on our symmetrical triangle, which is here. That means here is the first point. If we should steer into it, somewhere around $2.15 plus or minus, something in that range, then it could sharply go down. Because clearly triangles have that characteristic, either a massive pump or a massive dump. Well, then we have another area here that I had marked at $203. We should also avoid leaving that area because then my predicted low would be somewhere around $1.54. And at this point, it's very clear. It's not about saying, yes, XRP will crash or something like that. I'm not going to be negative at all. So, as I said, I have opened a long position myself, or rather, I am waiting for it to be opened. And you just have to say you need to keep all factors in mind when trading. That's also the big advantage. So you can make money whether prices fall or rise. But you shouldn't fall in love with an asset. That's probably the hardest part of trading. Instead, you need to see this asset as an asset and as a means of generating profit. And you have to find your entry and also your exit each time. Now, briefly on Ethereum again. And here you can also say, so here, a lot of interesting things have accumulated at the top. Further down, you see less at the moment. And this is, for example, the 2. Weekly view, so already relatively far out. Here again, a quick look at the chart. Well, the RSI also looks quite fresh here, almost settled in the middle. Even when you look at it here, I would call it a sideways movement. And we see once again this zone here, it's tough. So at 1951, the price just doesn't want to go above it. The rejection of ETH is too strong. Now let's see how often this retest happens, because usually whenever a zone is tested repeatedly, it eventually leads to a breakthrough. Hopefully. Because the symmetrical triangle is running down here, which means I would definitely keep an eye on this value for now, because if we should break through it sustainably, not just temporarily, but really, then this area here would be interesting next. Interestingly, we will soon intersect it if this sideways trend continues. And then, yes, we should definitely keep our eyes open for what the next zone might be, because we can say that we are already relatively far down there. So if we take a look over here, take a look at this. So there has been some support here in the past, but the next big thing, well, that would be down here somewhere around 1672. Or something like that. We don't want to hope for that now, because for everyone hoping for an altcoin season, Ethereum needs to deliver a completely different performance first. That should be it for now. I am very curious, so feel free to write in the comments. More trading, more news. What are you interested in? Just down here. And otherwise, if you like the video, feel free to leave a free like. And finally, I can give you a tip. I talked about it a few days ago, the dubious statement from Michael Saylor, $13 million per XRP. And I can tell you it is really possible. And how that is supposed to be possible and why, you will find out in this video. Otherwise, we'll see each other tomorrow for the next one. Until then, all the best. Bye.